Blood on snow. Matthias Cordell knelt beside his wife for the last time, calloused hands trembling as they held her fading warmth. Rosalind gasped, lips blue, eyes begging for a miracle he couldn't give. The storm screamed outside. The fire was dying, and he had waited too long. 3 years later, the mountain still stands, cold, silent, burying promises left unfinished. But fire never truly dies. Just needs a spark, a cry for help, a woman abandoned in the snow, and the past ignites again. This isn't a story about redemption. It's about daring to love again when your heart still bleeds, when the mountain remembers the last scream, when death stalks every shadow, when a man decides, never again. But history repeats itself. Only this time, he won't let anyone die in his arms, even if it costs him everything. 3 years. That's how long Matthias Cordell had been alone on this mountain. 3 years since Rosalind died in his arms. 3 years since he'd failed to keep his promise. The morning started like any other, cold, gray. Silent except for the wind cutting through the pines, Matthias stood at the fence line, hammer in hand, mending wire that didn't really need mending. But a man needed something to do with his hands, something to keep the thoughts away. The wire snapped under his grip. He cursed, soft, low. His fingers were bleeding again. He didn't notice until the blood dripped onto the snow. Red on white, blood on snow. He shook his head, wrapped his hand in a rag from his pocket, went back to work. The mountains didn't care about your grief. The fence needed fixing. The cattle needed feeding. Life moved forward whether you wanted it to or not. That's what old Zek always said. Keep moving. Keep working. Keep breathing. Eventually, the pain becomes background noise. Matthias wasn't sure he believed that, but he kept moving anyway. The sun climbed higher. Weak winter light filtering through the clouds. He'd almost finished the section when he heard it. Hoofbeats. 2 horses. Coming up the road from the valley. Matthias straightened. Squinted against the glare off the snow. Dalton Reed, his neighbor. If you could call a man who lived 5 miles away a neighbor, Dalton was riding his bay gelding, leading a sorrel mare beside him, and on that mare sat a woman. Matthias couldn't see her face from this distance. Just the dark shape of her, small, bundled in a traveling cloak that had seen better days. She sat stiff in the saddle, like someone who didn't ride often or didn't want to be there. Dalton didn't look up, didn't wave, just kept riding, past Matthias's fence, toward his own property to the north. The mail-order bride, Matthias had heard about it in town 2 weeks ago. Dalton bragging at the mercantile. Found myself a good woman, hardworking, not asking for much, just needs a roof and 3 meals. The other men had laughed, slapped Dalton on the back. Matthias had walked out. He'd never understood men who bought wives like livestock. But it wasn't his business. A man's choices were his own. Matthias went back to his fence. 3 hours later, the sun starting its descent, he heard hoofbeats again. 1 horse this time. Matthias looked up. Dalton, riding back toward town, alone, leading the sorrel mare. Empty saddle. Matthias's hands stilled on the wire. He watched Dalton pass. The man's face set, hard, angry. Matthias waited for an explanation, a wave, something. Nothing. Dalton rode past like Matthias wasn't even there. The sorrel mare's reins dragged in the snow. No rider. Matthias stood there. Hammer forgotten. 2 horses up, 1 horseback. His gut tightened. He told himself it wasn't his concern. Maybe the woman decided to stay. Maybe Dalton had a cabin up there he was letting her use. Maybe. But the wire in his hands felt suddenly cold. Because Matthias knew that land, knew every inch of this mountain. There was only one structure on Dalton's northern property, an old line shack, half collapsed. No heat, no supplies. Nobody used it anymore. Nobody could survive in it, especially not in winter. Matthias looked at the sky. The gray was deepening. Darker clouds rolling in from the west, storm coming. He knew that look. Had seen it 100 times. They had maybe 3 hours before it hit. He looked back at his fence. Half finished. Wire coiled at his feet. Then he looked north. Toward Dalton's land, his jaw tightened. Not your business. The words repeated in his head like a prayer. Not your business. Not your problem. Not your concern. A man didn't interfere in another man's affairs. That was the code out here. You minded your land, your cattle, your life. You didn't ask questions, but Matthias's hand went to his chest, to the scar beneath his shirt, the scar from 3 years ago, when he'd told himself it wasn't urgent. Told himself he had time. Told himself Rosalind would be fine until morning. She wasn't fine. She died screaming his name, begging him to save their baby. He couldn't. Both of them gone by dawn, because he'd waited, because he'd told himself he had time. Matthias dropped the hammer, walked to his cabin. He looked around. At the life he'd built, boarded walls, good roof, shelves lined with books. Rosalind's shawl still draped over the chair where she'd left it. 3 years, and he hadn't moved it. Couldn't. He grabbed his heavy coat, his gloves, started packing his saddlebag, dried meat, hardtack, whiskey, medical supply. Blankets, 3 of them. Thick wool, his rifle. He checked it, loaded. Not because he expected trouble, because a man prepared for what might come. Matthias paused at the door. Looked back at the cabin, at Rosalind's shawl. "I'm sorry," he said to the empty room. Then he walked out. The first snowflakes started falling as Matthias saddled his horse. Big, wet, heavy, storm snow, his gelding. A massive buckskin named Bear, stamped and snorted. The horse knew what was coming. "Easy," Matthias murmured. Tightened the cinch. "We got work to do." He swung into the saddle. Turned Bear north. The temperature was dropping fast. He could feel it in his bones, 10 degrees. Maybe less by nightfall. Matthias knew this mountain like he knew his own hands. Every trail, every ridge, every hollow where the wind gathered and howled. In summer it was paradise. In winter it was a killer. Beautiful, deadly. It didn't care who died. He urged Bear into a trot. Following the fence line north, the snow came harder. Wind picking up. Matthias pulled his scarf over his face. Squinted against the white. He reached the boundary of his land within 20 minutes. Crossed onto Dalton's property without hesitation. Section 5. The search. Toward the old line shack, Matthias's jaw clenched. He followed the tracks. Bear plowing through drifts that came up to his knees. The wind screamed now. Cutting. Vicious, Matthias bent low over Bear's neck. Gave the horse his head trust. That's what it came down to in a storm. You trusted your horse to find the way. Trusted yourself to hold on. Trusted God you weren't too late. The Lashkik appeared through the snow like a ghost, listing to one side, roof sagging, door hanging on one hinge. Matthias dismounted. Tied Bear to a post that looked ready to collapse. "Stay." He told the horse. Bear snorted, shook his mane. Snow flying, Matthias approached the shack. The door was closed. He pushed it open. Darkness inside. Cold. The smell of old wood and rot. "Hello?" His voice echoed in the small space. Nothing. He pulled out a match. Struck it against the doorframe. The flare of light showed him everything. Empty room. Broken chair in the corner. Pile of old blankets. Rusted stove with no wood, no woman. Matthias's chest tightened. The match burned down to his fingers. He dropped it. Struck another there. In the corner, a scrap of fabric. Dark blue. Wool. He picked it up. Held it to the light. A piece of a cloak. Torn. Like it had caught on something. Matthias closed his fist around it. She'd been here, and she'd left. Or been taken or run. He stepped outside. The snow was coming down in sheets now, Defidvison maybe 20 feet. Matthias quartered the area, looking for tracks, for any sign. There, to the east. A single set of footprints, small, stumbling. heading toward the tree line. Wrong direction. Town was south, shelter was south, east was nothing. Just wilderness and cliffs and frozen streams. Matthias swung back into the saddle. "Come on, Bear. We got someone to find." The horse lunged forward. Section 6. Finding Clara. But Matthias could read them. She'd been running, or trying to. The gait was uneven. One foot dragging, injured maybe, or just exhausted. The tracks led into the pines. Matthias ducked under low branches, snow dumping onto his shoulders. Bear pushed through, breathing hard. The forest was dark, dense. The storm muffled above the canopy, but the cold was worse here. Still waiting. Matthias's breath came out in clouds. "Hello," he called. The trees swallowed his voice. He called again. Nothing, just the wind, the creak of branches, the soft thud of snow falling from the pines. Matthias kept going. The tracks were nearly invisible now. Just slight depressions in the white. Easy to miss if you didn't know what to look for. She'd been here maybe 2 hours ago, maybe 3, in this cold. That was a lifetime. Matthias felt the familiar clench in his chest. Not again, please. Not again. He pushed Bear harder. The trees began to thin, opening into a small clearing, and there, at the base of a massive pine, a shape dark against the white, Matthias was off Bear before the horse fully stopped. He fell to his knees beside her. The woman was curled on her side, facing away from him. Her cloak was torn, one arm bare, fingers blue. Snow had drifted over her. Like the mountain was trying to bury her. Matthias grabbed her shoulder, turned her. Her face was gray, lips purple, eyes closed. No, the word came out harsh. Desperate, he pressed his fingers to her throat, matching, there a pulse, faint, slow. "But there, I got you," Matthias said, to her, to himself, to God. The race against death. She was small, light, too light, like she was already halfway gone. He lifted her, cradled her against his chest. Her head lolled. A soft sound escaped her. "Not quite a moan. Stay with me," Matthias said. He carried her to Bear. Getting her into the saddle was awkward. She couldn't help, couldn't hold on. Matthias, mounted behind her, pulled her back against his chest, wrapped his arm around her, holding her upright, holding her together. "Go," he told Bear. The horse turned, headed south. Home. Matthias bent over the woman, sheltering her from the wind with his body. He could feel her shaking. Violent tremors. That was good. Shaking meant the body was still fighting. But shaking also meant cold. Meant dying. Matthias had seen it before. Frostbite. Hypothermia. You had maybe an hour, maybe less. After that the body just gave up, stopped shivering, stopped fighting, went quiet. Rosalind had gone quiet at the end. Matthias pushed the memory away. Not now. Focus. The ride back was endless. Minutes felt like hours. The woman in his arms grew heavier. Limper. Matthias kept talking to her. "Stay awake. You hear me? Stay awake." No response. "What's your name?" "Nothing." "Come on. Tell me your name." Her lips moved, barely a whisper. So soft he almost missed it. "Clara." Matthias' chest loosened. "Just slightly, Clara." "Good. I'm Matthias. You're going to be okay, Clara." She didn't respond again. The cabin appeared through the snow. Matthias had never been so grateful to see it. He dismounted, lifted Clara down. Bear followed them to the porch, standing close, like he understood. "Good boy," Matthias said. He'd tend the horse later. Right now. Matthias kicked the door open, carried Clara inside. Section 8. Saving her life. He laid her on the floor in front of the hearth, grabbed wood, built the fire back up. Flames roared to life. Heat flooded the room, but Clara didn't respond. Matthias knelt beside her, peeled off her wet cloak. Her dress underneath was soaked, frozen in places. He hesitated, then reached for the buttons. A woman's modesty mattered, but not more than her life. He worked quickly, efficiently, removed the wet dress, the soaked undergarments, wrapped her in dry blankets. 3 layers, her skin was ice. Matthias rubbed her hands, her arms, trying to bring circulation back. Her fingers were the worst. White, waxy, frostbite. Matthias filled a basin with lukewarm water, not hot. Hot water would damage the tissue. He immersed her hands. Clara gasped, eyes flying open. Matthias caught her wrists, held them in the water. I know it hurts, but we have to warm them slowly. She stared at him, wild-eyed. Panicked. Who? Matthias Cordell. I found you in the woods. Her gaze darted around the cabin, taking it in the fire, the blankets, her state of undress. Where? My cabin. You're safe. She tried to pull her hands away. Matthias held firm. Clara. That's your name, right? A jerky nod. Clara. You have frostbite. If we don't warm your hands properly, you'll lose your fingers. Understand? Tears spilled down her cheeks, but she stopped fighting. Matthias kept her hands in the water. 5 minutes, 10. The color started coming back. Pink. Then red. Clara's breathing hitched. Little gasps of pain, I know, Matthias said. Quiet, steady. I know it hurts. He pulled her hands from the water, dried them carefully. The fingertips were blistered, but intact. She'd keep them. Matthias wrapped her hands in clean cloth, then sat back on his heels. Clara was shaking again, hard, teeth chattering. Shock, cold, fear, probably all 3. You need to drink something, Matthias said. He stood, poured coffee from the pot, still warm, added whiskey, held the cup to her lips. Drink. She took a sip, coughed, more, another sip. Then another color seeped into her face. Bit by bit, Matthias watched her. This woman who'd nearly died on his mountain. She was young, maybe 25. 26, dark hair plastered to her head, tangled, red-rimmed from crying. Or cold, old, or both. Small face, sharp cheekbones, pointed chin. Pretty. Matthias looked away. Where did you find me? Clara's voice was hoarse, east of the line shack. About a mile into the trees. How did you know? Saw Dalton ride past. 2 horses up, 1 horse back. Clara's face crumpled. He left me. It wasn't a question. Matthias said nothing. He said. Clara's voice broke. He said I wasn't good enough. Matthias's jaw tightened. You should rest. He was angry. Because I wouldn't, she trailed off. Looked away. Matthias stood abruptly. I'll get you some food. Then you sleep. He turned to the stove, started heating soup. Behind him, Clara was quiet. When he glanced back, she was staring at the fire, not crying. Just staring, like she was somewhere else entirely. Matthias had seen that look before, in the mirror. Every morning for 3 years, he ladled soup into a bowl, brought it to her. Eat. Clara took the bowl, her wrapped hands clumsy. She managed. Slow, careful. Matthias went outside. The storm was still raging, wind howling. He led Bear to the small barn behind the cabin, unsaddled him, rubbed him down, fed him, gave him water. You did good today, Matthias told the horse. Bear huffed. Turned to his hay. Matthias stood in the barn doorway, looking at the cabin, light glowing in the windows. For the first time in 3 years, there was someone else inside, someone alive. Someone who needed him. Matthias didn't know how to feel about that. He closed the barn door, walked back to the cabin. Inside, Clara had finished the soup. The bowl sat on the floor beside her. She was lying down now, eyes closed, breathing steady, asleep. Matthias stoked the fire, added more wood. Then he pulled a chair close to the hearth, sat down, leaned back. He'd sleep here tonight. Make sure she didn't take a turn for the worse. Make sure the fire didn't go out. Make sure. Always making sure. Never quite sure enough. Outside the wind screamed. Inside the fire crackled. And Matthias Cordell sat watch over a woman he didn't know, because 3 years ago he'd failed to keep watch over the woman he loved. He wouldn't fail again. Section 9. Morning after. He sat up, disoriented. Morning light filtered through the windows, weak. Gray, the fire was burning. Fresh wood. and standing at his stove was Clara. She was wearing one of his shirts. It hung to her knees. Sleeves rolled up a dozen times, her hair was still damp, pulled back in a messy braid. She favored her left foot, limping slightly. But she was upright. "Alive, you should be resting," Matthias said. Clara jumped, nearly dropped the coffee pot. "I didn't hear you wake. You need to stay off that foot. It's fine. It's not fine. You were half frozen last night." Clara set the coffee pot down, turned to face him. In the daylight he could see her better, the amber eyes, the sharp features, the stubborn set of her jaw. "I'm not an invalid," she said. "Didn't say you were, and I won't be a burden." Matthias stood, crossed to the stove, poured himself coffee. "You're not a burden. Then what am I?" He met her eyes. "Someone who needed help?" Clara looked away. "Thank you. For last night." "For finding me," Matthias nodded. They stood in awkward silence. Clara broke it first, the storm. "Has it passed?" Matthias went to the window. The world outside was white. Deep drifts. Trees had bent under the weight. But the skies clear. Past. "But there's more coming. How do you know?" "That line of gray. West. See it?" Clara moved to the window, stood beside him, close enough he could smell her. Soap, coffee. "Something else. Fear, maybe." "I don't see anything," she said. "You're not looking right there." "Along the ridge," she squinted. "Oh, yes, I see it. We got maybe 2 days before the next one hits." Clara wrapped her arms around herself. "I should go where, town?" "Find work. Somewhere. You won't make it a mile. You don't know that. I do." "Look at your foot." Clara glanced down. The foot she'd been favoring was swollen. "Bruised, it's fine. It's sprained. Maybe broken. I've walked on worse." Matthias turned to face her. "You head out now. In your condition. You'll die. Better than staying here. Ruining your reputation." Matthias almost laughed. "My reputation. People will talk. An unmarried woman. Under your roof? Let them talk. You don't understand. I understand plenty." Clara's eyes flashed. "Do you? Do you understand what it's like to be cast off? Thrown away? To have everyone assume you're worthless because one man decided you weren't good enough?" Matthias was quiet. Then, yes, Section 10. Shared grief. "I don't. My wife died 3 years ago." The words came out flat, emotionless. "The whole town blamed me. Said I should have taken her down the mountain sooner. Said I waited too long. Said I killed her." Clara's hand went to her mouth. "I'm sorry. Point is, I know what it's like when people talk, when they judge, when they decide who you are before you open your mouth." He stepped closer. "You're welcome to stay here, long as you need. I got a spare room. I'll set it up for you. I can't. You can, and you will, because going out there right now is suicide." Clara's jaw worked. 3 days, she said finally. 3 days what? I'll stay 3 days, until the next storm passes. Then I leave." Matthias nodded. 3 days. They looked at each other. Something passed between them. Understanding, maybe, or just recognition. 2 people who'd been left behind. 2 people trying to survive. "I'll make breakfast," Clara said. "You should rest." "I've been resting. I need to move." Matthias didn't argue. He went outside. The world was transformed. Snow everywhere. Pristine. Blinding beautiful. Deadly. Matthias checked on Bear. The horse was fine. Warm in his stall. Then he started shoveling paths to the barn, to the woodpile, to the outhouse. The work was hard, mindless good. He needed to think about Clara, about why Dalton had left her, about what would happen when word got out, because word would get out. It always did. Small towns. Long winters. People needed something to talk about. Matthias didn't care what they said about him, but Clara. She'd already been abandoned once. He wouldn't let it happen again. Inside the cabin, Clara had made eggs, bacon, cornbread. Real food. Matthias couldn't remember the last time he'd eaten real food. He'd been living on hardtack and jerky for months. "This is good," he said. Clara smiled. small. Uncertain. Thank you. They ate in silence. Matthias kept glancing at her, at the way she moved, careful, precise, like she was afraid of taking up too much space, like she'd been trained to be invisible. "Where are you from?" he asked. "St. Louis." "Long way from home." "I don't have a home." The words were matter of fact. "Parents? Dead. Cholera." "When I was 12, siblings?" "No." Matthias nodded. "Alone then." "Like him? What did you do?" "Worked in a dress shop. Mrs. Henley's." "Good work?" Clara's face darkened. No, she didn't elaborate. Matthias didn't push. After breakfast, he showed Clara the spare room. It was small. Bare, a bed, a chair, a trunk. "It's not much," Matthias said. "It's perfect." Clara sat on the bed. "Tested the mattress?" "This is yours?" "Was." "I'll sleep out by the fire." "You don't have to." "I do." Clara looked up at him. "Why are you helping me?" Matthias was quiet. "Because someone should have helped my wife." "And no one did." He turned to leave. "Matthias," he paused. "I won't forget this." "What you're doing," he nodded. Closed the door behind him. Left her alone. In the main room, he stood by the fire, Rosalind's shawl still on the chair. He picked it up. Held it. The fabric was soft. Worn. It didn't smell like her anymore. Hadn't for a long time. Matthias folded it carefully, put it in the trunk by the door. Then he went back to work. Section 11. Building boundaries. Clara woke early. Matthias was already up. Outside, chopping wood. She watched him through the window, the rise and fall of the axe, the way his shoulders moved, the steady rhythm. He was a large man, tall, broad, intimidating, but his hands had been gentle when he'd wrapped her frostbitten fingers, his voice soft when he'd told her to drink. Clara didn't know what to make of Matthias Cordell. The town had talked about him sometimes, the hermit on the mountain, the rich man who'd lost everything. Mrs. Henley used to say he was crazy. "Grief makes men dangerous," she'd say. Lips pursed, eyes narrow, but Matthias didn't seem dangerous. Just. Clara knew. She dressed. In her own clothes this time. Matthias had washed them, hung them by the fire to dry. The dress was old, patched, faded, but it was hers. Outside, Matthias was stacking wood. Clara approached. Slowly he glanced up. "You're limping less. It's better." "Good." He went back to stacking. Clara watched him. "I could help." "You should rest." "I've rested." "Let me help." Matthias straightened. "You ever stack wood before?" "No." "But I can learn," he said, then nodded. "All right. Watch." He showed her how to stack for stability, how to leave space for air. Clara followed his instructions. Her hands were clumsy in the wrappings, but she managed. They worked in silence, the rhythm soothing. After an hour, Matthias called a break. "Come inside." Warm up. They sat by the fire. Matthias made coffee. Clara noticed things about the cabin she'd missed before. Books, everywhere, on shelves, stacked on the table, piled by the chair. "You read a lot," she said. "Not much else to do up here. What do you read?" Matthias shrugged. "Everything. History, philosophy, poetry sometimes." "Poetry? What? You think mountain men don't read poetry?" Clara smiled. "I wouldn't know. I've never met a mountain man before." "Well, now you have. Can you teach me?" Matthias frowned. "Teach you what?" "To read. Better. I know some letters. But I can't put them together." He looked at her. "Mrs. Henley didn't let you go to school?" "She said girls didn't need schooling, just needed to sew straight." Matthias's jaw tightened. "All right. I'll teach you." Clara's face lit up. "Really?" "Really." Section 12. Learning to read. Matthias pulled out his Bible, opened it to Genesis. "We'll start." Here he pointed to the first word, in. Clara repeated it, in. "Good. Now this one, the." They worked through the first verse. Clara stumbled, frustrated, but Matthias was patient. He didn't rush her, didn't mock, just repeated, explained. Encouraged by sunset, Clara could read the first 3 verses, halting, uncertain, but reading. "You're a good teacher," she said. Matthias closed the Bible. "You're a good student." That night they ate stew. Matthias had shot a rabbit that morning. Clara had made the stew. It was good, rich, savory. "You're a better cook than me," Matthias said. "I've had practice." "Mrs. Henley made you cook?" "Mrs. Henley made me do everything." Clara's voice was bitter. Matthias set down his spoon. "She hurt you." It wasn't a question. Clara didn't answer, just stared at her bowl. Clara. She looked up. "She's not here." "You're safe," tears welled. "Am I?" "Safe?" "Yes, how do you know?" "Because I won't let anyone hurt you." Clara's breath hitched. "You don't owe me anything." "Maybe not. But I made a promise to myself a long time ago." "What promise?" Matthias was quiet. "Then, that I'd protect people. The way I should have protected my wife." Clara wiped her eyes. "You can't save everyone, Matthias. I can try." They finished eating in silence. After Clara went to her room, Matthias stayed by the fire, thinking about promises, about the ones he'd kept and the ones he'd broken. Outside, the wind picked up. The next storm was coming. Matthias could feel it. Section 13. The storm and the truth. The promised storm arrived, worse than the first, wind screaming. Snow falling so thick you couldn't see 3 feet. Matthias woke to Clara standing at the window. "It's bad," she said. "Yeah. I can't leave in this." "No," Clara turned. "I'm sorry. I know I said 3 days. Don't apologize. Weather doesn't care about our plans?" Clara smiled. "Faint no. I suppose it doesn't." The day stretched long. Trapped inside, Matthias worked on mending tack. Clara practiced reading. Around noon she set down the Bible. "Matthias." He looked up. "Can I ask you something?" "Sure." "Why are you really helping me?" Matthias set down the leather strap he was oiling. "I told you." "Because someone should have helped Rosalind. But there's more, isn't there?" He was quiet. Then, "Yeah. There's more. Will you tell me?" Matthias stood, walked to the window, looked out at the storm. 3 years ago. Rosalind was pregnant. Clara waited. She started having pains. Early. Too early. His voice was flat. "Empty. I told her we'd wait. That we'd go to town in the morning. That it was probably nothing." Pause. "But the storm came. Just like this. And by morning she couldn't walk." Clara's hand went to her mouth. "I tried to get her down the mountain. But the snow. The drifts. We didn't make it half a mile before Bear started foundering. So I brought her back. To the cabin." Another pause. "She died at sunset. The baby with her." Silence. Clara stood. Crossed to him. "I'm sorry." Matthias didn't look at her. "I promised her that I'd keep her safe. That I'd protect her. You tried. I failed. It wasn't your fault, wasn't it? I waited. I told her it could wait." Clara touched his arm. "You couldn't have known." Matthias finally looked at her. His eyes were wet. "That's what everyone said. After. That I couldn't have known, but you could have known." "You should have known." Clara shook her head. "No. You're not God, Matthias. You can't see the future. I could have acted, instead of waiting, and you might have lost her anyway." In the storm. On the trail, Matthias looked away. "Maybe. Not maybe. Probably." Clara's hand tightened on his arm. "Listen to me. What happened to Rosalind? To your baby? That wasn't your fault." "How do you know?" "Because fault requires intent. And you didn't intend for her to die." Matthias was quiet. "Then, thank you." "For what?" "For saying that. Even if I don't believe it." Clara smiled. "Sad. Someday you will." They stood together, looking out at the storm. 2 people bound by loss, 2 people trying to forgive themselves. "I won't leave," Clara said softly. Matthias looked at her. "What?" "When the storm passes. I won't leave. Not unless you want me to, Clara. I have nowhere to go. No one waiting. And you. You need someone here." "I don't." "Yes." "You do." Matthias's throat tightened. "People will talk. Let them. Your reputation." "I don't have a reputation." "I'm nobody." "You're not nobody." Clara met his eyes. "Then let me stay. Let me help. You saved my life. Let me save yours. Matthias wanted to argue to tell her it was a bad idea, that she deserved better than hiding on a mountain with a broken man. But the cabin had been empty for so long, and she was right, he needed someone even if he didn't want to admit it. All right, he said finally. Clara's face brightened. Really, really. But on one condition. What? You sleep in the bedroom. I'll take the main room, Matthias. That's the condition. Take it or leave it. Clara laughed. Fine. I'll take it. They shook hands. Formal. Awkward. But binding. Outside the storm raged, but inside, for the first time in 3 years, Matthias Cordell's cabin felt like a home. Section 14. The Voe. A week since Matthias had found Clara in the snow, the storm had finally passed, leaving the world buried. Matthias stood on the porch, looking at the mountains white, silent, beautiful. Behind him the door opened. Clara stepped out. She was wearing one of Rosalind's old dresses. Matthias had given it to her yesterday. It fit better than his shirt. It's beautiful, Clara said. Yeah, I've never seen anything like it. Matthias glanced at her. You from the city. This must seem like another world. It is. But I like it, even after nearly dying in it. Clara smiled. Even then. They stood in comfortable silence. Then Clara spoke. Matthias, can I ask you something? Always seem to be asking me things. This one's important. He turned. All right, ask. Clara's face was serious. Why did you really bring me here? Not just to save me. Anyone would have done that, would they? You know what I mean. Matthias sighed, leaned against the porch railing. You want the truth? Please, I saw you on that horse. With Dalton and you looked scared. Clara's eyes widened. You could see that? From the fence? I've spent 3 years alone, watching. You learn to read people. So you saved me because I looked scared? No. I saved you because when Dalton came back without you, I knew. Knew what? That he'd left you to die. Clara looked away. He didn't want me. Then he's a fool. She looked back at him. You don't know me. Don't need to. But, Clara. Listen. Matthias stepped closer. I don't know your whole story. Don't know what happened with Dalton. Don't know what you've been through, but I know this. Nobody deserves to be left in the cold. Nobody deserves to die alone. Clara's eyes filled. Everyone I've ever known has left me. I won't. How do you know? Matthias took a breath. Because I'm making a promise. Right now? What promise? I'll protect you. The way I should have protected Rosalind. Clara shook her head. You can't replace her with me. I'm not trying to. Then what are you trying to do? Matthias looked at her, really looked at the amber eyes, the sharp features, the stubborn chin. At the woman who'd survived when she should have died. I'm trying to do the right thing. For once. Clara's breath hitched. And what's the right thing? Making sure you're safe. Making sure you have a choice. A choice about what? About your life. Your future. Matthias stepped back. I won't ask anything of you, Clara. Won't expect anything. You're free to go whenever you want, but if you stay as my equal. Not my ward, not my charity case. Clara wiped her eyes. Why would you do that? Because it's right? That's not a reason. It's the only reason that matters. They looked at each other. Something shifted. In the air. In the space between them. I'll stay, Clara said softly. Matthias nodded. Good, but Matthias, yeah, thank you for seeing me. When no one else did, Matthias's throat tightened. You're welcome. Section 15. Warning from old Zeke. Matthias heard the horse before he saw the rider. He stepped onto the porch, rifle in hand, just in case. But it was Zeke riding slow. Leading a pack mule, the old man dismounted, stamped snow off his boots. Matthias, Zeke, they clasped hands. Zeke's eyes went to the cabin. To Clara. Visible through the window. So it's true. What's true? You got a woman up here. Matthias's jaw tightened. She needed help. I'm sure she did, Zeke. The old man raised a hand. I'm not judging. Hell, I'm impressed you finally letting someone in. After all this time, Matthias looked away. It's not like that, isn't it? She's staying, temporarily, until she figures out what to do, Zek snorted, son. Nothing temporary about the way you're looking at that cabin. Matthias didn't respond. Zek sighed. Look, I didn't come here to hassle you. Then why did you come? To warn you. Matthias's eyes sharpened. Warn me about what? Dalton Reed's been talking. Down in town, Matthias's hands clenched. What's he saying? That his bride ran off, stole money, that he wants her back. She didn't steal anything, I believe you. But the law might not. The law? Sheriff Nathan's asking questions. About the girl. About where she is. Matthias's chest tightened. Nathan coming up here? Not yet. But soon. Zek stepped closer. Matthias, you need to be careful. This could go bad fast. I'm not sending her back. Didn't say you should. But you need to be smart about this. Smart how? Get ahead of it. Go to town. Tell your side. Matthias shook his head. I leave. Dalton could come up here, so bring her with you. She's not ready. Then you got a problem. Matthias looked at the mountains, at the white peaks. The endless sky. I'll handle it. Zek clapped him on the shoulder. I know you will. Just wanted you to know what's coming. Thanks, Zek. The old man mounted his horse. One more thing, yeah? That girl. She's lucky to have you. Matthias didn't answer. Zek rode away. Matthias stood on the porch, long after the old man disappeared. Inside, Clara was at the stove, humming softly, making supper. Matthias watched her through the window, and made another promise, to himself. To God, to whoever was listening, he wouldn't let anyone take her. Not Dalton, not the law, not anyone. She'd been thrown away too many times. It ended here. The sun set, red and gold against the white. Beautiful, like the calm before the storm. Matthias knew storms, and he knew this one was coming, whether he was ready or not. Section 16. The Mutine Bejans. Then 8, then 9. Time moved differently on the mountain, slower, heavier. Or maybe that was just Matthias, finally noticing the passage of days again, because Clara counted them. Every morning she'd make a small mark on the doorframe. Tiny scratches in the wood, like a prisoner counting days until freedom. Except she wasn't a prisoner, and she wasn't trying to escape. Was she? Matthias didn't ask. They fell into a rhythm, easy, natural, like they'd been doing this for years instead of days. Matthias woke before dawn, always, built up the fire, made coffee. By the time Clara emerged, the cabin was warm. She'd smile, sleepy. Hair mussed, morning. She'd take the coffee he offered, their fingers brushing every time. Neither of them mentioned it. After coffee. Chores. Matthias would go outside, check on Bear, feed the chickens Clara had insisted they needed. Eggs, she'd said. We need eggs, so he'd ridden down to old Zek's. Brought back 3 hens and a rooster. The rooster was mean. Bit Matthias twice already. Clara thought it was hilarious. He doesn't like you. Feelings mutual. You're just too big. You scare him? Good. While Matthias did outside work. Clara cleaned, swept, dusted, organized. The cabin had never been so tidy. Matthias found himself noticing things, the way she hummed while she worked. Off-key, sweet. The way she'd pause at the window, staring at the mountains, like she was memorizing them. The way she'd rearranged his books, by subject now, not just piled randomly. Hope you don't mind, she'd said. No, it's good. I can put them back. Don't. Afternoons were for teaching. Reading, writing, arithmetic. Clara was a fast learner hungry for knowledge. She'd work through lessons with fierce concentration, tongue between her teeth. When she got something right, her whole face would light up. Matthias found himself creating harder lessons, just to see that smile. You're a terrible teacher, she said one day. What? Why? This problem. It's impossible. It's not impossible. Show me then. So he did, sitting beside her, close enough to smell her hair. Lavender, from the soap he'd given her. Close enough to feel the warmth radiating from her. He'd finish the problem, look up. And she'd be watching him, not the paper. Him, Clara? Sorry. I was. Distracted. By what? Nothing. Show me again. Evenings were quiet. They'd eat together. Whatever Clara had made, she was an excellent cook, better than Matthias had eaten in years. Where'd you learn this? He'd ask Mrs. Henley. She was cruel, but she knew food after dinner. Clara would read aloud. Practicing, Matthias would sit by the fire, mending tack. Or carving. He'd taken up carving again. Something to do with his hands, small things. Animals mostly. He'd made Clara a bird. A robin. She'd cried when he gave it to her. It's beautiful. It's just wood. No. It's more than that. She kept it by her bed. Matthias knew because he'd seen it. When he'd knocked on her door one morning, to wake her when the sun was high, she'd been sick. Headache, fever, nothing serious. But enough that he'd insisted she rest. He'd brought her soup, tea, sat with her, lied to her when she was too weak to read herself. Her hand had found his at some point. Small, warm. He'd held it. Until she fell asleep, then state, but just in case, section 17. Talking about Rosalind. 2 weeks, Matthias was chopping wood. Again. Always the pile never seemed big enough. Clara came outside. Wrapped in Rosalind's old shawl, Matthias had given it to her last week. She'd hesitated. Are you sure? She'd want you to have it. You don't know that. I do. Now Clara wore it constantly. She walked to the wood pile. Carefully. Her foot was better. Almost healed, Matthias. He sank the axe into the stump. Turned? Yeah, can I ask you something? You ask me something every day. This is different. He waited. Clara looked at her hands. Why don't you ever talk about her? Rosalind. Matthias stiffened. I talk about her. You mention her. That's different than talking. What do you want to know? Clara met his eyes. What was she like? Matthias was quiet for a long moment. Then she was. Bright, like sunlight, when she walked into a room. Everything felt lighter. Clara smiled. Soft. She sounds lovely. She was. How did you meet? Town social. 5 years ago. Matthias sat on the stump. Clara sat beside him. I'd come down to sell cattle. Wasn't planning to stay. But then I saw her, and I couldn't leave. Love at first sight? Matthias shook his head. Didn't believe in that. Until her, Clara was quiet. Do you? Miss her every day. Does it get easier? Matthias looked at her. Are you asking for you, or for me? Clara flushed. I don't know. Both, maybe. It doesn't get easier. You just better at carrying it. Clara nodded. They sat in silence, the wind moving through the pines. Soft. Steady. Can I tell you something? Clara said. Always. I'm glad you found me that day. In the snow, Matthias's throat tightened. Me too. Clara leaned against his shoulder, just for a moment. Then she stood. I should start dinner. Clara. She turned. Thank you for asking. About her, Clara smiled. Thank you for telling me. She went inside. Matthias sat alone, looking at the mountains. Rosalind had loved these mountains, had loved this life. For the first time in 3 years. The grief didn't feel quite so heavy. Maybe Clara was right. Maybe you just got better at carrying it. Section 18. The second warning. 3 weeks since Matthias had found Clara. Old Zek arrived at noon. Matthias saw him coming. From a half-mile away, the old man rode slow. Tired. Something was wrong. Matthias met him at the fence. Zek. Matthias. The old man dismounted. Stiff? Coffee? Please, inside. Clara took one look deck and poured 3 cups. They sat at the table. Zek warmed his hands on the cup. You look tired, Clara said. Am tired. Getting old, aren't we all, Matthias said. Zek smiled. But it didn't reach his eyes. I got news. From town, Matthias's jaw tightened. Dalton? Sheriff Nathan. He's planning to come up. Week from today. Clara's hand shook. Coffee spilling. He's coming here? Has to. Dalton filed a formal complaint. On what grounds? Matthias asked. Theft. Says Clara took $300. And a silver watch. That's a lie, Clara said. Voice sharp, I know it is. But Dalton's got paper contract. Says you're legally bound to him, Clara stood. Pacing, I didn't take anything. I didn't even see any money, I believe you. But the law doesn't care, Matthias said. Zek nodded. Sheriff Nathan's a good man, but he's bound by rules, so what do we do? Clara asked. Zek looked at Matthias. You got a choice. Let Nathan take her back for questioning, or you fight. Matthias stood. I'm not letting anyone take her, Matthias. Clara started. No, you're staying. I don't care what Dalton says, Zek sighed. Son, you fight this. Could cost you everything. Then it cost me everything. Clara crossed to him. You can't. Your reputation, your life here. My life here doesn't mean anything if I let you get hurt. Tears filled her eyes. Why are you doing this? Matthias cupped her face. Because it's right. And because I care about you. The words hung in the air, heavy true. Clara's breath hitched. Matthias, he dropped his hands. Step back, Zek. Tell Nathan. If he wants Clara, he goes through me. The old man nodded. I'll tell him. But Matthias, be ready. This is going to get ugly. Let it, after Zek left. Clara and Matthias stood in silence. Finally, Clara spoke. You meant that, didn't you? Meant what? That you care about me. Matthias looked at her. Yeah, I did. Why? Do I need a reason? Yes. Matthias was quiet. Then, you remind me what it's like. To something worth protecting. Clara's eyes glistened. I'm not Rosalind. I know I can't replace her. I'm not asking you to. Then what are you asking? Matthias stepped closer. I'm asking you to stay, to let me do this, to trust me. Clara looked up at him. I do trust you. That's what scares me. Why? Because everyone I've ever trusted has left. I won't leave. You don't know that, yes. I do. Clara shook her head. You're risking everything for me. Why? Because, Matthias' voice roughened, because you make me feel alive again. And I didn't realize I was dead until you got here. Clara's tears spilled over. I feel it, too. Whatever this is, Matthias reached for her. Stopped, Clara. I need to tell you something. What? I made a promise to myself when I found you. What promise? That I'd protect you, like I should have protected Rosalind. But, he swallowed hard, but it's not just that anymore. What is it? It's you. Clara, it's you. The confession hung between them. You lie. Terrifying. Clara reached up, touched his face. Matthias Cordell. You're a good man. I'm not. You are, and I'm grateful. For everything. Matthias covered her hand with his. Grateful? Clara smiled through her tears. Grateful and maybe something more, maybe? Definitely. Matthias pulled her close. She came willingly. They stood like that, holding each other together. Two broken people, finding something whole. Outside, the wind picked up, another storm coming. But inside, they were warm. Section 19. Clara's revelation. Clara was teaching Matthias to cook. Real cooking. Not just throwing meat in a pan. You have to season it, she said. Exasperated. I did season it. Salt isn't the only seasoning. Worked fine for me. That's because you have no taste, Matthias grinned. You saying I have bad taste? Clara blushed. In food. Yes. Just food? Matthias. He laughed. It felt good to laugh. Clara added herbs to the pot. The smell filled the cabin. Rich. Savory. There now taste. She held up the spoon. Matthias leaned in. Tasted. His eyes widened. That's good, see? Herbs matter. Guess you're right. I'm always right. About cooking. Just cooking? Clara swatted his arm. Stop teasing. Can't help it. You're fun to tease. They worked side by side, the ease between them growing. Every day. A little more. After dinner. Clara grew quiet. Matthias noticed. You okay? I need to tell you something. His stomach tightened. All right. Clara set down her fork. About Dalton. About why he left me. You don't have to. I do. You need to know. Matthias waited. Clara took a breath. the first night. At his ranch, he wanted, stopped, started again, he expected, certain things. Before the wedding, Matthias's hands clenched. Did he? No, I said no, and he was angry, very angry. What did he do? He called me names, said I was useless, said I'd misrepresented myself. Clara's voice shook. The next morning, he said we were going to see the property, the land where we'd build our house, but he took me to that cabin instead, said I could stay there. Think about my decision. And he left. Yes. I waited. All day. All night. He never came back. Matthias's jaw was tight enough to crack. He left you to die. Because you wouldn't sleep with him. Yes, Matthias stood. Paced, that man. I'm going to, Matthias. Don't. Don't what? Don't do something you'll regret? I won't regret it. Clara stood. Went to him. Listen to me. Dalton's a coward and a fool, but he's not worth it. He almost killed you, but he didn't, because you found me. Matthias looked at her, if I'd been an hour later. But you weren't. She took his hands. You saved me. That's what matters. Matthias pulled her close. I should have killed him. No, you should have done exactly what you did. Bring me here, keep me safe. Give me a choice. A choice about what? Clara looked up at him. About my life, my future. And what do you choose? This, you. If you'll have me. Matthias's breath caught. Clara, I know it's fast. I know it's crazy. But I can't imagine leaving. Can't imagine going back to anything else. Matthias cupped her face. Are you sure? Yes, because once you say it, once you choose, I won't let you go. Good. Because I don't want to go. Matthias kissed her soft. Careful. Like she might break, Clara kissed him back fierce. Certain, like she knew exactly what she wanted when they pulled apart. Both were breathing hard. We should. Slow down, Matthias said. Why? Because. I don't want to rush you. Don't want you to feel obligated. Clara laughed. Matthias, I'm choosing you. Not because I'm obligated. Because I want to, but no buts. Unless you don't want. I want. He kissed her again, longer this time, deeper, when they finally separated. Clara was smiling so. What now? Now. We face this together. When Nathan comes, when Dalton comes. Together. They sealed it with another kiss. Outside. The stars came out. Bright, cold, beautiful. Inside. Two people held each other and made promises. Without words. Section 20. Adelaide's proposal. Adelaide Hartford arrived at dawn. Matthias heard the horse. Went outside. The woman dismounted. Elegant even in riding clothes. Adelaide, Matthias, they'd known each other for years, since before Rosalind. Adelaide had been kind. After the funeral, brought food. Sat with him. Never asked for anything in return. Matthias had always suspected she had feelings for him. But she'd never said, and he'd never asked. Come in. Coffee. Inside. Clara was at the stove, turned. Saw Adelaide, something flickered in her eyes. Hello, you must be Clara. I'm Adelaide Hartford. They shook hands, polite. Careful. Women sizing each other up. Adelaide accepted coffee. Sat at the table. I'll get to the point. I came to warn you. About Nathan? Matthias asked. About more than Nathan. She looked at Clara. Dalton's been talking. Everywhere. Saying terrible things. What things? Clara asked. That you're a thief. A liar. That you seduced him and ran off with his money. Clara paled. That's not true, I know. But half the town believes him. Why? Matthias demanded. Because he has papers. Evidence. Or what looks like evidence. What kind of evidence? Adelaide pulled out a folded paper. This. It's a copy. The original is with Sheriff Nathan. Matthias unfolded it. A letter. In feminine handwriting. Dear Dalton, I'm sorry. I can't be the wife you need. I've taken what I'm owed. Consider us even. Clara. Matthias looked up. This is fake, I know. Clara didn't write this, we know. But can you prove it? Clara leaned over. Read the letter. That's not my handwriting. It's similar. But not mine. Dalton must have had someone forge it, Adelaide said. But why? Clara asked. Why go to all this trouble? Matthias folded the letter because he's covering his tracks. If you're a criminal, he's the victim. Exactly, Adelaide said, and that means, when Nathan comes, he won't be coming to ask questions. He'll be coming with a warrant. Clara sank into a chair. They're going to arrest me, not if we get ahead of it. Adelaide said, how? Adelaide looked at Matthias. You go to town, with Clara, tomorrow. Before Nathan comes up here and do what? Tell your side. Publicly. Make Dalton prove his claims. Matthias shook his head. I leave this mountain. Clara's vulnerable. You stay here. She's trapped. Guilty by default. Matthias looked at Clara. She met his eyes. Adelaide's right. We have to face this. I don't like it. Neither do I. But what choice do we have? Matthias was quiet. Then, we go together. We stay together. If anyone tries to take you, they go through me. Adelaide smiled. Sad, you really care about her. Yes. Adelaide looked at Clara. You're lucky. Matthias Cordell doesn't give his heart easily. Clara reached for his hand. I know. Adelaide stood. I should go. But Matthias. One more thing. What? There's a way to make this simpler. How? Adelaide hesitated. Marry her. Silence. Matthias stared. Clara's mouth opened. What? They said in unison. If you're married. Dalton's contract is void. She's legally yours. He has no claim. Adelaide. I know it's fast. I know it's unorthodox. But it's the cleanest solution. Matthias looked at Clara. She looked back. Matthias, you don't have to. Do you want to? Clara blinked. Want to what? Marry me. Are you asking? I'm asking. Clara's eyes filled. That's not how proposals work. I'm not good at this, clearly. Adelaide cleared her throat. I'll just. Step outside. She left. Matthias and Clara stared at each other. This is insane, Clara said. Yeah, we barely know each other, I know. We've only been together for a day. True, and you're asking me to marry you. Yes, Clara laughed. Hysterical. Hi, this is crazy, I know. But, she looked at him. But I think I want to say yes. Matthias's heart stopped. You do? Yes. Maybe. I don't know, she paced Matthias. Here? Are you sure? Really sure? I'm sure. How can you be? Because I've spent 3 years alone. And these 3 weeks with you have been better. Clara stopped pacing. Better? Better than anything I've had since Rosalind died. That's not a reason to get married, isn't it? Clara looked at him. Do you love me? Matthias was quiet. Then I don't know. But I think. I could. You think you could? Yeah. Clara laughed again. That's the worst proposal I've ever heard, probably. But it's honest. It's honest. She crossed to him. Ask me properly. What? If you're going to ask. Do it right. Matthias dropped to one knee. Clara gasped. Matthias, Clara Winslow. Will you marry me? Why should I? Because I'll protect you. Provide for you. Give you a home, that's all. And because I want you here, every day. For the rest of my life, Clara's tears spilled over. That's better. Is that a yes? Yes. It's a yes. Matthias stood, pulled her into his arms. They kissed long, deep, sealing the promise. Outside. Adelaide cleared her throat, loudly. They pulled apart, so? Adelaide called. She said yes. Matthias called back. Adelaide came back in, smiling. Good. Then let's get you two to town. Before Dalton can cause more trouble, Clara looked at Matthias. Are we really doing this? We're really doing this. Tomorrow? Tomorrow. I don't even have a dress. Adelaide grinned. Lucky for you. I own a dress shop. Section 21. The night before the wedding. Watching the sunset, red and gold. Bleeding into purple. Tomorrow they'd ride to town. Tomorrow everything would change. Are you scared? Clara asked. No more. Are you? Terrified, Matthias squeezed her hand. It'll be fine. You don't know that. No. But I believe it. Clara leaned against him. What if they don't believe us? What if they side with Dalton? Then we come back here, and we live our lives anyway. Just like that? Just like that. Clara was quiet. Then, tell me about her, about your wedding. With Rosalind, Matthias stiffened. Why? Because. I want to know. Want to know what it meant to you. Matthias sighed. It was small, just us, the preacher. Old Zek and his wife. Where? Here. On the mountain. By the creek. It sounds beautiful, it was. Clara pulled back. Looked at him, do you? Wish it was her, tomorrow? Matthias met her eyes. No, you don't have to, no. I don't wish that, but you loved her, I did. I do, I always will. And me? You're different. Different how? Matthias struggled to find words. Rosalind was.
My first love.
My great love, but you're my second chance. And that's its own kind of miracle. Clara's eyes filled. I don't know if I can live up to that. You don't have to live up to anything. Just be you. What if that's not enough? It's enough. They kissed, soft, sweet, when they pulled apart. The stars were out. We should sleep, Matthias said. Long day tomorrow. I don't think I can sleep. Try inside. Clara went to her room. Matthias stayed by the fire. He pulled out a small box, opened it inside. Rosalind's ring. Simple. Gold. A single small diamond. He'd kept it all these years, couldn't bear to sell it, or give it away. Now he looked at it, turned it in his fingers. I hope you understand, he whispered to the empty room. I hope you approve. Silence. Just the crackle of the fire. Matthias closed the box, give it to Pocket. Tomorrow. He'd marry her. Tomorrow. He'd start over. He lay down by the fire, stared at the ceiling, thinking about choices, and chances, and promises made to the living, and the dead sleep came slowly. But it came, and with it, dreams of tomorrow. Section 22, The Journey to Town. Dawn came cold and clear. Matthias woke before the sun, built up the fire, made coffee. Clara emerged already, dressed. She was wearing Rosalind's blue dress, the one Adelaide had altered for her. It fit perfectly. You look beautiful, Matthias said. Clara blushed. It's too much, it's perfect, she smiled. Nervous? Are you ready? As I'll ever be. They ate breakfast in silence, neither hungry. Both eating anyway. Matthias packed saddlebags, extra clothes. Food, money, just in case. You think we'll need all that? Clara asked. Hope not. But better prepared. He strapped Roswell to the saddle. Clara's eyes widened. You think there'll be trouble? I think Dalton's unpredictable. I'd rather have it and not need it. Clara nodded. They finished packing. Matthias saddled Bear, and the mare he'd bought for Clara last week. A gentle chestnut named Daisy. She'll take care of you, he'd said when he brought her home. Now he helped Clara mount. She was more confident on horseback. After weeks of practice, Matthias swung into his own saddle. They looked at the cabin, at the smoke rising from the chimney, at the chickens scratching in the yard, at the life they'd built in 3 weeks. Ready? Matthias asked. Clara took a breath. Ready. They rode down the mountain. The journey took 4 hours, through deep snow, across frozen streams, down narrow switchbacks. Matthias led. Clara followed. They didn't talk much, just focused on the path, on not falling, on getting there in one piece. Halfway down, they stopped to rest the horses. Matthias handed Clara jerky. Water. How you holding up? Good. Better than I thought. You're a natural rider. I had a good teacher. They smiled at each other, the moment broken by hoofbeats. Matthias's hand went to his rifle. A rider appeared. Coming up the trail, Sheriff Nathan. Matthias relaxed. Slightly, Nathan reined in. Looked at them both. Matthias. Miss Winslow? Nathan? The sheriff's eyes went to Clara. I was coming to see you. I know. You know why? I do. Nathan sighed. This would be easier if you'd just let me take her. For questioning, she's done nothing wrong. Dalton says different. Dalton's a liar. Nathan looked tired. Look, I don't want trouble. I'm just doing my job, then do it right. Listen to both sides. I plan to. Good. Because we're coming with you. To town. To settle this, Nathan's eyebrows rose. You're coming voluntarily? Yes, both of you? Both of us. Nathan studied them. All right, but Matthias, if this goes south, if Dalton presses charges, I'll have to arrest her. Try it. Nathan's eyes narrowed. Don't threaten me. Not a threat. A promise. You want Clara. You go through me. The two men stared at each other. Finally, Nathan looked away. Let's just get to town. Sort this out civilized. Fine. They rode together, 3 horses, moving down the mountain, toward town, toward whatever waited there. Clara rode between Matthias and Nathan, silent, her hands tight on the reins. Matthias wanted to comfort her, but Nathan was watching, so he just rode, and hoped, and prayed this wouldn't end in blood. The town appeared in the valley, small, quiet, smoke rising from chimneys, people moving on the streets. As they entered, heads turned, whispers started. Is that Matthias Cordell? And the girl, Dalton's bride, the words followed them. Sharp, cutting. Clara's shoulders hunched. Matthias rode closer. Ignore them. Hard to ignore. Try. They rode to the church, the largest building in town, where the preacher held services and unofficial trials. Nathan dismounted. Wait here. I'll get the preacher. And Dalton, he went inside. Matthias dismounted, helped Clara down. She was shaking. Hey, look at me. Clara looked up. We're going to be fine. You hear me? Fine. You don't know that. Yes, I do, because no matter what happens in there, we leave together. Promise, promise. He kissed her forehead. The church doors opened. Nathan emerged, followed by the preacher, and Dalton looked different, thinner, harder. His eyes found Lara. Hatred blazed there. Matthias stepped between them. Dalton, Matthias, I see you brought my property. She's not your property. Law says different. The law's wrong. Dalton smiled. Cold. We'll see what the preacher says. Section 23. The trial. It was packed. The whole town had come. Matthias felt Clara falter. He took her hand. Together, they walked down the aisle, heads turning, whispers rising, to the front, where the preacher waited. Reverend Samuel, an old man, strict, traditional. We're here to settle a dispute, Nathan said, between Dalton Reed and Clara Winslow. And what is the nature of this dispute? Samuel asked. Theft, breach of contract, abandonment, Dalton said, attempted murder. Matthias countered. The crowd gasped. Samuel held up his hand, one at a time. Mr. Reed, state your case. Dalton stepped forward. I paid for Clara Winslow's passage. We had a contract. She was to be my wife. He pulled out papers. This is our agreement. Signed. Legal. Samuel examined it. It appears in order. When she arrived, I welcomed her, treated her well. Lies, all lies. But she refused her wifely duties. And in the night, she stole $300 and my mother's watch. More lies. She ran off to Matthias Cordell's cabin, where she's been hiding for 3 weeks. Dalton looked at Clara. I want my money back, and I want her arrested. Silence. Samuel looked at Clara. What say you, Miss Winslow? Clara stepped forward. Her voice shook, but held. Mr. Reed is lying. Gasps. I did not steal from him. I did not run away. Then what happened? Samuel asked. Clara took a breath. The first night, at his ranch. Mr. Reed, he demanded, relations. Before we were wed. Louder gasps. Dalton's face reddened. I refused. He became angry, called me names, said I was worthless. The next day, he said we would see the land, but instead, he took me to an abandoned cabin and left me there. You're lying, Dalton said. Am I? Asked Mr. Cordell. He found me 3 days later, half frozen. Samuel looked at Matthias. Is this true, every word? And you have proof? I found her in the snow, frostbitten, nearly dead, in that line shack on Dalton's northern property. She could have gone there herself, Dalton said. Why would she? To frame me, to make me look like the villain. Matthias laughed. You are the villain, the crowd murmured. Samuel raised his hand again. Order, please. He looked at Dalton. Do you have proof of this theft? Witnesses? Dalton pulled out the forged letter. This, in her handwriting. Confessings, Samuel read it. Looked at Clara. Is this your hand? No, someone forged it. Can you prove that? Clara hesitated. Then, give me paper. A pen. I'll write the same words. You can compare. Samuel nodded. Paper and pen were brought. Clara wrote, slowly, carefully, the same words from the letter. Samuel compared them. His frown deepened. These are not the same hand. Dalton's face went white. She's disguising her writing. Or you forged this letter, Matthias said. The crowd erupted. Voices raised. Accusations flying. Samuel banged his hand on the pulpit. Silence. Everyone quieted. Samuel looked at both of them. This is a serious matter. We need more time, more evidence. I have evidence, said a voice from the back. Everyone turned. Old Zek walked down the aisle in his hand. A piece of cloth. I found this at the line shack. Week after the blizzard, he handed it to Samuel. It's a piece of dress. Blue wool. Matches what Miss Winslow was wearing when Matthias found her. So, Dalton said. Proves nothing. Proves she was there. Where you left her, I didn't. And I found something else. Zek pulled out a watch. Silver. Engraved. This. In your barn. Dalton. Hidden under the straw. Dalton's face went slack. That's your mother's watch. The one you said Clara stole. Silence. Thick. Heavy. Dalton opened his mouth. Closed it. Samuel looked at him. Mr. Reed. Do you have an explanation? Aye. She must have. Put it there. When? She's been on the mountain for 3 weeks. No answer. Samuel's face hardened, it appears. Mr. Reed. That you have lied to this assembly. I haven't. You have forged evidence, made false accusations, and attempted to have an innocent woman arrested. No, furthermore, by your own admission, you abandoned Miss Winslow in dangerous conditions, which constitutes, in the eyes of the law, attempted murder. The crowd erupted again. Nathan stepped forward. Reverend, what's your ruling? Samuel looked at Dalton. Dalton Reed, you are guilty of perjury, false witness, and endangerment. He turned to Clara. Miss Winslow, you are innocent of all charges. Clara's knees buckled. Matthias caught her, held her up. Samuel wasn't done, however. There remains the matter of the contract. Matthias stiffened. What about it? It is still, technically, valid. Unless what? Samuel looked at Clara. Unless Miss Winslow is married to someone else. Matthias pulled the ring from his pocket. Then let's fix that right now. The crowd gasped. Clara's eyes went wide. Matthias. Are you? Clara Winslow. Will you marry me? Here now. In front of everyone, Clara looked at him. At the man who'd saved her life, who'd given her a home, who'd fought for her when no one else would. Yes, Section 24. The wedding and celebration. Turned to Samuel. Marry us. Samuel blinked. Now. The old preacher looked at them both, then smiled. Very well, let us begin. And there, in that church, in front of the whole town, Matthias Cordell and Clara Winslow were married. Quick, simple. When Samuel pronounced them husband and wife, Matthias kissed Clara long, deep. The crowd erupted in applause. Not everyone, but enough. When they pulled apart, both were crying, happy tears. Finally, Dalton lunged forward. This is wrong. She's mine. Nathan grabbed him. Dalton Reed, you're under arrest for what? Perjury. Attempted murder. Take your pick. Nathan dragged him away. Dalton screaming, cursing, but it didn't matter, because Clara was safe. And Matthias, for the first time in 3 years, was home. The church emptied slowly. People filing past, some smiling, some silent. Adelaide was first. She hugged Clara. Tight. I'm so happy for you. Thank you. For everything. You deserve this. Old Zek clapped Matthias on the back. 'Bout time you let yourself live again. Yeah. Took me long enough. Better late than never. They stood on the church steps, husband and wife. The words felt strange. New real. Clara looked at the ring on her finger. Sybil, gold beautiful. This was hers, wasn't it? Not a question. Matthias nodded. Is that? All right, Clara touched the ring. Gently. It's perfect. She'd want me to have it. How do you know? Because she loved you. And you chose me. Matthias pulled her close. I did. I do. They kissed. Right there. On the church steps. In front of God and everyone. When they pulled apart. Adelaide was grinning. You two need to eat. Celebrate properly. We should get back to the mountain, Matthias said. Nonsense. It's your wedding day, Adelaide. The hotel. Dinner. My treat. Clara looked at Matthias. Can we? Just for tonight? Matthias hesitated, then nodded. One night, Adelaide clapped her hands. Wonderful. I'll make arrangements. She bustled off. Matthias and Clara stood alone. Mrs. Cordell, Matthias said. Clara smiled. Say it again. Mrs. Cordell, I like the sound of that. Me too. They walked to the hotel hand in hand. People stared. Let them. The hotel was small. Simple, but clean. Adelaide had reserved the best room. For the newlyweds, she said. Eyes twinkling, Clara blushed. Matthias carried their bags upstairs. The room was cozy. A large bed. A window overlooking the street. A small table with 2 chairs. Clara went to the window, looked out at the town. It's strange. Being here, strange how? I thought I'd be scared. Coming back to town. But I'm not. Why not? She turned. Because you're here. Matthias crossed to her, wrapped his arms around her from behind. They stood like that, watching the sunset. Watching the world turn gold. Then orange, then purple. I love you, Matthias said. Clara's breath caught. What? I love you. Should have said it before. But I'm saying it now. Clara turned in his arms. You love me? Yes. Are you sure? I'm sure. Tears filled her eyes. I love you too. So much. They kissed, soft. Then deeper. A knock at the door interrupted them. Dinner's ready, Adelaide called. They pulled apart, both breathing hard. Later, Matthias promised. Later, dinner was in the hotel dining room. Adelaide had invited old Zek, Sheriff Nathan. A few others, people who'd stood with them. The meal was simple, but good roast chicken, potatoes, fresh bread, wine, which neither Matthias nor Clara drank much of. But the company was warm, Zek told stories. About Matthias as a young man, he was wild. Before Rosalind settled him down, I wasn't wild. You rode a half-broke stallion into the saloon. That was one time. Everyone laughed. Clara smiled, watching Matthias, seeing this side of him. Young, reckless, full of life. She wanted to know that man, wanted to bring him back after dinner. Adelaide stood. A toast to Matthias and Clara. May your love be strong, your days be long, and your happiness endless. Hear, hear, everyone said. They drank then, one by one. People left until only Adelaide remained. I should go too. Let you two. Enjoy your evening, she winked. Clara blushed again after Adelaide left. Matthias and Clara sat in silence, the dining room empty now. Just them, you tired? Matthias asked. No, you know. What do you want to do? Matthias grinned. I have a few ideas. Clara laughed. They went back to their room slowly, taking their time, savoring the moment. At the door. Matthias paused. Clara, if you're not ready, we can wait. Wait for what? For. You know, Clara cupped his face. Matthias Cordell. I married you. I love you. I'm ready. You're sure? I'm sure. He carried her over the threshold like a proper bride. Clara laughed. Surprised. What are you doing? Tradition. I didn't know you cared about tradition. I don't. But you deserve it inside. He set her down gently. They stood facing each other, nervous, excited. Clara reached for the buttons on her dress. Matthias caught her hands. Let me. He unbuttoned her dress. Slowly, reverently, like she was precious, fragile, when the dress fell. Clara stood in her undergarments, self-conscious. You're beautiful, Matthias said. I'm not. You are. He kissed her. And the the fear, it melted away. They came together, gentle, then urgent, learning each other, finding rhythm, finding home after. They lay tangled together. The moonlight streaming through the window, Clara's head on Matthias's chest, his arm around her. That was wonderful, she said. Yeah, it was. Is it always like that? I don't know. Was it your first time? Clara nodded against his chest. Matthias tightened his hold. Then yes, it's always like that. When you love someone, Clara smiled. Good. They lay in comfortable silence until Clara spoke again. Matthias? Yeah? Thank you. For what? For choosing me. For fighting for me. For everything. Matthias kissed her hair. You saved me too. You know that? How? You made me want to live again. Really live. Not just survive. Clara lifted her head, looked at him. We saved each other then. Yeah. We did. They kissed. And then they loved again, slower this time, taking their time, learning, growing, becoming. Outside, the town slept. Inside, two people found each other and made promises. With their bodies, with their hearts forward. Section 25. Coming home and new beginnings. Clara woke first, for a moment. She didn't remember where she was, then she felt Matthias beside her, warm, solid, real. She smiled. Husband, the word still felt new. Matthias stirred, opened his eyes. Morning wife, morning husband. They grinned at each other. Like children with a secret. Sleep well? He asked. Better than I have in years. Me too. They lay there, neither wanting to move. Finally, Matthias sighed. We should get up. Long ride home, I know, but neither moved. 5 more minutes, Clara said. 5 more minutes. It was closer to 20. Finally, they dressed, slowly, stealing kisses between buttons and laces, downstairs. Adelaide had breakfast waiting. How are the newlyweds? She asked. Eyes twinkling. Good, Matthias said. Very good, Clara added. Adelaide laughed. They ate quickly. Eggs, bacon, fresh bread, strong coffee. After they packed their bags, prepared to leave, Adelaide walked them to their horses. You'll visit? She asked Clara. Of course. Good. I'll hold you to that. They hugged. Adelaide whispered in Clara's ear, You did good. Matthias is a good man. I know. Be patient with him. He's still healing. So am I. Then heal together. Clara nodded. They mounted up, Matthias on Bear, Clara on Daisy. Side by side, the town was waking, people emerging, starting their day. Some waved, some stared. Matthias ignored them all. They rode north, out of town, toward the mountain, toward home. The journey was easier this time. The sun bright, the air crisp. They rode in comfortable silence. Halfway up, they stopped to rest. Matthias helped Clara down. They sat on a fallen log, shoring water. Dried meat, you happy? Matthias asked. Yes. Are you? More than I've been in years. Clara leaned against him. What happens now? What do you mean? Now that we're married, what do we do? Matthias shrugged. We live. We work. We build a life. That simple? That's simple. Clara smiled. I like simple. Good. Because that's all I got to offer. It's enough. They rode on. The cabin appeared through the trees. Smoke rising from the chimney. Wait. Smoke? Matthias's hand went to his rifle. Stay here, Matthias. Stay. He rode forward, cautious. Alert. The cabin door opened. Old Zek stepped out. Matthias relaxed. Zek, what are you doing here? Keeping your fire alive. Feeding your chickens. You didn't have to. I know. But I wanted to. Clara rode up, dismounted. Thank you, Mr. Brennan. Call me Zek. We're family now. Clara smiled inside. The cabin was warm, clean. Zek had tidied up. Stocked firewood. You're a good friend. Matthias said, I try. Zek stayed for coffee, then left, let you two settle in proper after he was gone. Matthias and Clara stood in the cabin, looking around. Everything the same, everything different. It feels different, Clara said. How? Like a real home now. Matthias pulled her close. It is a real home. Because you're here, Clara kissed him. They spent the rest of the day unpacking, settling in, making the space theirs. Clara moved her things from the spare room to Matthias's room, their room now. She hesitated at the threshold. Is this all right? Matthias took her hand. More than all right. That night, they made dinner together, stew, cornbread, sizeable. Good after. They sat by the fire, Clara reading aloud, Matthias door carving. The routine, familiar, comfortable. Right, Matthias? Yeah, I'm happy. He looked up. Good. So am I. I never thought I'd be happy again. Neither did I. Clara set down the book. What changed? You. You changed everything. Clara crossed to him, sat on his lap, wrapped her arms around his neck. I love you too. They kissed, and the fire burned low, and the night stretched on, and two people once broken. We're whole. 3 months passed. Winter released its grip, slowly. Reluctantly, the snow melted, rivers swelled. Green appeared, tentative at first. Then bold Clara planted a garden. Matthias built a fence around it, to keep the deer out. They worked side by side, every day, building, growing, healing. One morning, Clara woke feeling ill. She ran outside, retched in the bushes. Matthias followed. Concerned, you all right? I don't know. Maybe something you ate? Maybe, but it happened the next day. And the next, Clara began to suspect. Hoped, feared. 2 weeks later, she was sure. She told Matthias that evening. They were sitting on the porch, watching the sunset. Matthias. I need to tell you something. What? Clara took his hand, placed that on her belly. I'm pregnant. Matthias froze. His face went white. What? I'm going to have a baby. Silence. Long heavy. Clara's heart sank. Matthias. Say something. He stood abruptly, walked to the porch railing, gripped it. Hard. Matthias. Talk to me. I can't. Do this again. Do what? He turned, his face ravaged. Lose someone. I can't lose you too. Clara stood, went to him. You won't lose me. You don't know that. Rosalind. I'm not Rosalind. She died. Clara. She died having my baby, I know. But that doesn't mean. What if it happens again? What if I lose you? Clara cupped his face. Then you lose me. But Matthias, you can't live your life afraid. I can try. No, you can't, because that's not living. Matthias pulled away. I need time. To think. He walked off into the woods. Clara stood alone, tears streaming. He didn't come back that night. Clara lay in bed, alone, scared she mistake, telling him? No, he deserved to know, but his reaction. It terrified her the next morning. Matthias returned. He looked exhausted, haunted. I'm sorry, he said. For what? For walking away. For leaving you alone. It's all right. You're my wife, and you're having our baby. He sat beside her, took her hands. I'm scared, terrified. But I'm also happy. Clara's eyes filled. Really? A baby? Our baby? Are you sure? Because if you're not ready, I'll never be ready. But I want this. Want you. Want our family. Clara threw her arms around him. I love you. I love you too. They held each other while outside. The world turned green, and inside a new life grew. 1 month later, May, warm, bright. The garden was flourishing. Clara's belly was just starting to show. A small curve, barely noticeable. But Matthias noticed. He'd catch himself staring, hand reaching out to touch. Stop fussing. Clara would say, I'm not fussing, you are. Can't help it. She'd smile, kiss him. Go back to whatever she was doing. Matthias had become protective, hovering. Making sure Clara didn't lift anything heavy. Didn't work too hard. Didn't overdo it. I'm pregnant. Not fragile, she'd say, I know. But humor me, she would. Because she loved him. One afternoon, a wagon appeared, coming up the mountain road. Matthias heard it first, went outside, hand on his rifle. The wagon was driven by a man, older. Weathered, beside him sat a woman, and in the back, 2 children, small, thin, scared. The wagon stopped. The man climbed down. Matthias Cordell? That's me. I'm Tom Grayson. From the orphanage. In town, Matthias frowned. What can I do for you? Tom gestured to the children. These 2. Lost their folks last month. Fever. I'm sorry to hear that. No other family. Orphanage is full, and? Hartford said, you and your wife might have room. Matthias glanced back at the cabin. Clara had emerged, hand on her belly. We can't, Matthias started. Clara interrupted. Yes, we can, Clara. She walked forward to the wagon, looked at the children, a boy, maybe 6. Dark hair, dark eyes. Silent, a girl, same age. Probably his sister, light hair, blue eyes, crying softly. Clara's heart broke. What are their names? The girl is Emma. The boy is James. Hello, Emma. Hello, James. Emma sniffled. James said nothing. Clara looked at Matthias. We have room, Clara. You're pregnant. We can't. We can. And we will. Matthias opened his mouth, closed it. He knew that look. His wife had decided, all right, they can stay. Tom Grayson smiled. Thank you. Truly, he helped the children down, handed Clara a small bundle, their things. Not much, it's enough. Tom climbed back into the wagon, tipped his hat. God bless you both. He drove away, leaving Matthias and Clara with 2 terrified children. Emma clung to Clara's skirt. James stood apart, not looking at anyone. Come inside, Clara said gently. Let's get you something to eat inside. Clara made sandwiches, poured milk. The children ate like they were starving. Matthias watched, his chest tight after. Clara showed them the spare room. You'll sleep here. Is that all right? Emma nodded. James said nothing. He doesn't talk much, Emma whispered. Not since Mama died. Clara's eyes filled. That's all right. He can talk when he's ready. She tucked them into bed, both of them. In the same bed, clinging to each other. Sleep now. You're safe here. Emma's eyes closed, but James's stayed open. Staring at the ceiling, Clara stood, left the door cracked, in the main room. Matthias waited. What have we done? He asked. The right thing. Clara, you're pregnant. We're not ready. We're ready as we'll ever be. I don't know how to be a father. Clara took his hands. Neither do I. How to be a mother. But we'll learn. Together, Matthias looked at the door, at the children beyond. They've been through so much. So have we. We're broken. How can we help them? Clara smiled. Broken people make the best healers. We know what it's like. To hurt. Matthias pulled her close. I love you. You know that? I know, even when you're impossible, especially when I'm impossible. They laughed, soft, quiet, not wanting to wake the children. That night, Clara woke to crying. She went to the spare room. Emma was sobbing. James sat beside her, silent, but his hand on her back. Clara sat on the bed. What's wrong, sweetie? I miss Mama, I know. I miss my mama too. Emma looked up. You do, every day. Does it stop hurting? Clara smoothed the girl's hair. No, but it gets easier. Bit by bit, Emma crawled into Clara's lap. Clara held her, rocking gently, humming an old lullaby her mother used to sing. Emma's sobs quieted. Her breathing evened. She fell asleep. Clara looked at James. He was watching her. You can come too, if you want, for a moment. He didn't move. Then, slowly, he climbed into her lap on the other side. Clara wrapped her arms around both. You're safe now. I promise. We'll take care of you. James didn't speak, but he leaned his head against her. And Clara felt something shift in her heart, in the cabin. These children, they needed her. And she needed them. Days turned to weeks. Emma chattered constantly, making up for James's silence. She followed Clara everywhere. Helping in the garden, learning to cook, asking a million questions. Why is the sky blue? Where do chickens come from? When will the baby be born? Clara answered patiently, grateful for the company. James was different. He stayed close to Matthias, silent, watchful. Matthias didn't push, just let the boy follow him, chopping wood, feeding animals, mending fences. James watched everything, absorbed, learning one day. Matthias was shoeing bear, James standing nearby. Want to help? Matthias asked. James nodded. All right, hold this. Matthias handed him a tool, showed him how to hold the hoof, how to clean it, how to fit the shoe. James followed instructions. Perfectly. You're good at this, Matthias said. James almost smiled, that night at dinner. Matthias carved the meat. Emma talked non-stop. Clara listened, smiling, her hand on her belly. The baby was moving now, little flutters, like butterflies. Matthias caught her eye, smiled after dinner. They sat by the fire. Emma insisted on a story. Clara obliged, making up tales. About brave knights and clever princesses and dragons that weren't so scary after all. Emma hung on every word. James pretended not to listen, but he did. Clara could tell when the story ended. Emma yawned. "Time for bed," Clara said. "Do we have to?" "Yes." "Come on." Clara took their hands, led them to their room, tucked them in. "Good night, Emma." "Good night, Mama." Clara froze. "Mama." The word hung in the air. Emma's eyes widened. "I'm sorry. I didn't mean." Clara knelt beside the bed. "It's all right. You can call me that. If you want. Really, really." Emma threw her arms around Clara's neck. "I love you, Mama." Clara's eyes filled. "I love you too, sweetheart." She looked at James. He was watching, silent as always. "Good night, James?" He nodded. Clara left the door cracked, returned to the main room. Matthias was waiting. "She called you, Mama, I know. How do you feel?" "Terrified." "Happy." "Both." Matthias pulled her close. "You're going to be a wonderful mother. You think so?" "I know so." Clara rested her head on his chest. "We're really doing this, aren't we?" "Yeah, we are. A family. A family." They stood like that, holding each other, while the fire burned low, and the children slept, and the future, uncertain as it was, felt bright. 2 months later. July hot bright. Clara was 6 months pregnant now, her belly round and full. She moved slower, but never stopped. Emma helped with everything, cooking, cleaning. Gardening, the girl was a chatterbox, but sweet-kenned. Already protective of the baby. "I'm going to be a big sister," she'd announce to anyone who'd listen. James was still silent, but he'd warmed up a little. He'd hold Clara's hand sometimes, when they walked. He'd sit close to Matthias at dinner. Little things. But progress. One afternoon, Matthias was building a crib for the baby. James watched, as always. "Hand me that hammer," Matthias said. James did. "Now hold this steady." James held the wood. Matthias nailed. They worked in silence, comfortable. Finally, Matthias sat back. "What do you think?" James ran his hand over the wood. "Smooth. Perfect." He looked at Matthias and spoke. For the first time in months. "It's good, Pa." Matthias froze. "Pa." The word hung in the air, heavy. "Beautiful." Matthias' eyes filled. "You spoke." James nodded. "Say it again. Please, it's good." "Pa." Matthias pulled the boy into his arms, held him tight. "I'm so proud of you, son." James hugged back. "I miss my papa. But you're a good papa, too." Matthias's tears fell. "Thank you. That means everything." They pulled apart, both wiping their eyes. "Don't tell Mama," I cried, Matthias said. James grinned, an actual grin. "I won't." They went back to work, father and son, building a crib for their family. That night at dinner, James spoke again. "Can I have more, please?" Emma gasped. "James, you talked." "Yeah." "So?" "You haven't talked in forever." James shrugged. "Didn't have anything to say." Clara laughed, tears streaming. "I'm so glad to hear your voice." James smiled. "Me too, Mama." After dinner, the family sat outside watching the stars. Emma on Clara's lap, James beside Matthias. The mountains dark against the sky. "Tell us a story, Mama," Emma said. "What kind of story?" "A happy one," Clara thought, then spoke. "Once upon a time. There was a man who lived alone on a mountain." Emma giggled. "That's Pa." "Hush." "Let her tell it," James said. Clara continued. "He was sad and lonely until one day he found a woman in the snow." "That's you," Emma whispered, "and he saved her." "And she saved him." "How?" James asked. "By teaching him that it's okay to love again, even when you're scared." Matthias reached for Clara's hand, squeezed, and they got married. "And that's us," Emma said. "That's us," Clara agreed. "What happened next?" James asked. "They lived and loved and were happy." "That's a good story," Emma said. "The best story," James added. Matthias looked at his family, at his wife, growing round with child, at the 2 children who'd become his, at the life they'd built from ashes, from grief, from pain. He'd thought his story was over when Rosalind died. But it wasn't. It was just beginning. "Come on," he said. "Time for bed already?" Emma complained. Already they went inside, tucked the children in, said their good nights, then retreated to their own room. Clara changed into her nightgown. Matthias watched. "You're beautiful." "I'm huge." "You're beautiful." Clara laughed, climbed into bed. Matthias joined her, placed his hand on her belly. "The baby kicked. Feel that?" "Yeah, that's our baby." "Saying hello." Matthias kissed her belly. "Hello, little one. We can't wait to meet you." Another kick. They laughed, then lay in the dark, holding each other. "Matthias?" "Yeah?" "I'm scared." "About the birth." He tensed. "I know. What if something goes wrong?" "It won't. You don't know that." "No. But I believe it." "How?" "Because this time we're not alone. We have Adelaide." The doctor. Each other. Clara nodded. "You're right, and Clara. Whatever happens, we face it together." Together they kissed, and the fear, while not gone, felt smaller, manageable, because they weren't alone. Not anymore. October. 8 months after the wedding, the leaves turned gold and red. The air grew crisp, and Clara went into labor. It started in the night. A tightening low in her belly. Clara woke, gripped Matthias's arm. "It's time." He sat up, alert. "You're sure?" "I'm sure." Matthias dressed quickly, ran to the barn, saddled Bear, rode down the mountain to get Adelaide, and the doctor. Clara stayed at the cabin. "With Emma and James, is the baby coming?" Emma asked. "Yes. Are you scared?" "A little." Emma hugged her. "It'll be okay, Mama." "You're strong." Clara smiled through the pain. "Thank you, sweetheart." James brought water, helped Clara to the bed. "Pa will be back soon." "I know." The contractions grew stronger, closer together. Clara breathed through them, trying to stay calm. For the children. For herself. Matthias returned within 2 hours. Adelaide and Dr. Hayes with him. Out, Adelaide ordered the children. "Give your mama space." Emma and James went reluctantly. Matthias wanted to stay. "No men," Dr. Hayes said. "But, Matthias, go. We'll call you when it's time." He left, paced outside, while inside Clara labored. It was long, painful, exhausting, but Adelaide held her hand and encouraged her. "You're doing so well." "Almost there. I can't." "You can." One more push. Clara pushed, with everything she had, and then a cry, thin, strong, beautiful. "It's a boy," Dr. Hayes announced. Adelaide wrapped the baby, brought him to Clara. "Your son." Clara took him, tears streaming. He was perfect, tiny, red, squalling. "Perfect. Hello, little one." The baby quieted, looked at her with unfocused eyes. "Welcome to the world." Adelaide opened the door. "Matthias, come meet your son." Matthias burst in, went straight to Clara, looked at the baby, his face crumpled. "He's perfect, he is." Matthias touched the baby's hand, the tiny fingers curled around his. "Hello, son." "I'm your pa," the baby yawned. They laughed. "Can we see?" Emma called from outside. "Yes." "Come in." Emma and James entered, shy, uncertain. "Come here," Clara said. They approached the bed, looked at the baby. "He's so small," Emma whispered. "You were that small once," Clara said. "What's his name?" James asked. Clara looked at Matthias. They'd discussed names, but never decided. Now, Clara knew William. After Matthias's friend, Matthias's eyes filled. "Are you sure?" "I'm sure." "Zek will be honored." William. Emma tried out the name. "I like it." "Me too," James said. They sat together, all of them, around the bed, looking at the newest member of their family, and Clara felt complete for the first time in her life, complete 6 months later. Spring again, the world green and new, William was thriving. Fat, happy, Emma doted on him. James was protect, Matthias was. Besotted, he'd never thought he'd get this. A second chance, a family, love one day. Adelaide arrived, with a photographer, for your family portrait, she announced. Adelaide, Matthias started. Don't argue. Every family needs a photograph. So they gathered. On the porch, Matthias in the back, Clara beside him, William in her arms, Emma and James in front. Everyone smiled, the photographer said. They did. The flash went off blinding. When it cleared, the photographer grinned. Perfect. 2 weeks later, Adelaide brought the photograph. Framed, Clara hung it above the mantel. They all gathered to look. There they were, frozen in time, a family built from loss, from pain, from love. We look happy, Emma said. We are happy, James replied. Yeah, Matthias said. We are. He pulled Clara close, kissed her hair. Thank you, he whispered. For what? For saving me. For giving me this. Clara looked up. You saved me first. We saved each other. Yeah, we did. They looked at the photograph, at the life they'd built, and Matthias thought of Rosalind, of the promise he'd made, to protect, to love, to honor. He'd failed her, but he wouldn't fail this family. This was his second chance, and he wouldn't waste it. Outside, the sun set over the mountains. Gold and red beautiful. Inside, a family gathered, around the fire, telling stories, lawing, living, and Matthias Cordell, mountain man. Widower, loner was home, finally truly home.